What's up? I'm your host Drew, and we're about to get into Talks with High G. So I have some recent downloads about things that I've been receiving in the ether and then through the rhythm of earth from being grounded and from my heart level chakras and up. You see, right around this area here, right? Now, where is it? Green? Green is for the heart. And from alignment that I've been further aligning with myself, whether that be physically, soulfully, and mentally, right? So we got some notes right here. Ease. If it's not coming with ease, if it's not coming from ease, then it's probably not yours or for you to be having on to. And not that everything will come easy and easy like that. That's not what's to be totally expected. But the context of ease is just a word that has been channeled recently, right? Okay, so ease. Things should be able to flow, right? Like a healthy river flows with ease. So this is the type of ease that we're talking about. And not just going with certain flows, because that's another thing too. But just as a quick example, I wanted to use like certain things that flow well. A better example is copper, silver, and gold as conductors that allows electricity to flow more. And so that allows us to observe certain things in our life or what we got going on. And we're looking at it like, is this something that's causing resistance to my electricity? And not as in resistance to like exercise, because that's great, that's different. You know, this is when we're getting into like adept level mastery. But the resistance of electricity is different, because when you have too much resistance in electricity, it's not going to get better or stronger. It's just not going to flow. The current's not going to go through. And if we are finding these things that are causing resistance, let's swap them out. Let's change it out. Let's put it at bay. Let's push it out more, because actually one of these is coming up next too. Second channel right here is an alignment, and this is just a reminder. If depending on what your budget is, and if your hustle is allowing you to have a relationship with a masseuse, with somebody who knows your body and your spine, because you want to always be working on separating each one of these a little bit more, going against gravity, elongating your body and your neck, and living in your body and in your spine. And a great way to get more in tune with your body is to be having a working relationship and seeing an alignment specialist, someone who's good with deep tissue massage, but also has an understanding of the alignment of the spine, and also Kundalini, if possible. That one you're just gonna have to feel out. If that's something that you both understand together. But just the chi energy flow. There's different chi maps that are available, the elliptical flow of chi, and just understanding that nature of it, of the soulful and spiritual nature of the 33 vertebrae, the 33 steps, the masonry, right? Okay, 33. So that's the second channel message for September going into October, November, and we're just going for a period. All these downloads are one-liners that you can put and install, and just to remind yourself. For the first one, so the first one we're dealing with is ease. We're trying to open channels of ease so things can come to you ease. Create your positive traps. Kind of like how a spider does. And once the spider does the work, sits back with ease, and lets dinner come into the trap. But we're not trying to trap in a negative sense. So next we have the alignment. So this is not only working with a personal masseuse, which is very key foundational, preferably once every 3 months or sooner. But in the meantime is working on your own alignments, and that's laying on your back on the ground on a soft carpet, staying all the way straight, doing things like this, 15-pound medicine ball or whatever feels good to you, and just slowly shaping your core and your inner body out like that, and expanding your body. So that's more alignment that can be done in the meantime, and that's going to increase your chi, your overall elliptical flow, and your overall aura, and your current, your human bioenergy that's actually your electromagnetic field and all that, which is good for the people around you, but also good for yourself, no doubt, because you're gonna have a more radiant health. You're gonna be more vigorous for sure. Which leads to our next one, and this is for alcohol. Let me make sure we're still recording. Ooh. All right, so boom, we're back on in here with the next one, number 3 of the downloads. For whenever you're getting this messages, these are always timeless messages because these are always jewels to drop, and we come back around and revisit these jewels, and we find more in the same area, or you get it right. But for September, October, November, December 25, going into 26, and beyond, this is a very big one, and it ties back into an alignment and with ease, which is dealing with alcohol. And this is a pretty common fact, I guess. You know, a lot of people know it or whatever, so I'm not trying to bring it in that type of revelation, but just a reiteration, because when I got the download recently from a conversation in a liquor store from a liquor store owner about how he reverses diabetes after 2 years after not drinking alcohol, he gave me a tidbit that just hit me like a bag of bricks. And he reminded me that when that alcohol is converted into sugar. Alcohol is converted into sugar in our system. So not only are we getting all the blood-brain barrier, alcohol coming through the membranes there and going into cells and doing what it does, and this, so it's a toxin. So our body's trying to rid it as fast as it can. And it goes out pretty fast, but in the meantime, it's just wrecking whatever it can get to the brain. It's one that becomes a challenge to deal with later in life, becoming with drinking earlier or whatever. Of course, the liver's getting taxed hard. And then also there's like another issue with I think the kidney or what, I think it's the kidney or either the liver also that will not, once it's used to daily drinking, it pretty much flips to only trying to process alcohol instead of really extracting nutrients and stuff too. But beyond those right there is the sugar part. This is the key download to know going forward, throughout the rest of this year and going into 26 and beyond, whenever you're getting this message, is that alcohol is turning into sugar, which means the more sugar that you have in your body, not only is it going to pack in and turn into weight, but the sugar is a resistance to your electricity. So your electricity in your nerves and your brain and your body and your heart and how everything communicates all the way down to the sea of chi. Boom, 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 boom. The less resistance you have in your nerve network, in your brain, your neuron, and all that good stuff there, on a biological, literal, physical level, you're going to be on fire faster on more cylinders. So with all that sugar in there, the more it takes in it as a daily drinking. So this was enough for me not to be daily drinking. Because I've been the type of drinker in multiple times in my life where I need reasons not to drink. Because I'll just go drink daily. Yeah, so, but whether those be liquors or beers or different things, there's more clean beers and there's more clean liquors. There's ways to drink liquor and there's ways to drink more clean beers. But daily drinking of alcohol and also daily eating of pasta, because pasta turns into a sugar that our body doesn't really use good. Same thing with alcohol. The best sugars to be consuming that we know, and added, with this added information from the download, is sugars from pineapple, sugars from apple, sugars from orange, the fruit sugars, and that's pure electricity. So if you were to look at or visualize a copper wire, and the wire has, the protective shield around it, but inside is copper, and copper is conducting the electrical charge, boom, boom, boom. But as it gets road salt or corrosion on it from the icy roads and the road salt, and it'll start eating through the protective layer and start corroding the copper and turning it into a lesser element on the chart. I want to say it goes backwards in the number, because copper is number 29, so it'll go backwards some. but it'll turn hard on the inside, and like no, copper's hard also, but it'll oxidate, and it'll actually turn blue in this scenario with the road salt stuff. But it'll cause resistance in the wire where the signal gets stuck. It'll go boom, and it'll try to get through, and it might drop. It'll drop voltage and try to get through, pick up back on the other side. But if it can't pick through, the signal's lost. So imagine how many times that can happen through our body, because we have so many major nerve meridians, a good 5 to 15 or something like that. So if certain nerve meridians are shut down, or if they're having more resistance than they should, we're not going to have that elliptical flow. So that's a big download to know right there, for anybody who is a daily drinker of alcohol like me, like I have been many times in my life. So this one should be a good enough motivation to be like, nah, bro, like I need to be, you know what I'm saying? I need to be tight, firm. I need to be, I don't need to have sugar in my tank. Okay, right? There's sugar inside of a car, it's not going to run no more. We need to be able to good run. Okay? I got a few more I'll share with you, but those 3 right there are already huge downloads for the remaining of September here, okay? Ease, your body's alignment, and it's definitely okay to get in tune with an alignment specialist, or AKA a body masseuse, but I call a body masseuse more so an alignment specialist. So you're going to have to interview and go around and see who's kind of hip to what you know and what you're trying to do, and probably find you an off-market masseuse who's a good masseuse. Alcohol is sugar, and same thing with pastas. And I've noticed when haven't been daily drinking for a few weeks now, for about 14 to 20 days. But I notice also when the daily drinking goes down, it's easier to eat and consume the calories and the foods that I need to maintain the weight that I'm looking to be at, to maintain. And also, I don't have as much craving for pasta. And I've been a big time spaghetti and macaroni eater throughout the years. Next big download right here, you're going to thank me for this one, because this one's really super potentified, depending on how you use it and stuff, okay? So this one come to me when I got to see a video about what the Tesla logo actually is, and it's an AC induction motor, which is one of Tesla's original ideas that he concepted about 100 years ago. So he figured out if you put a big strong magnet on the outside and a big strong magnet on the inside that are I guess maybe different polarities or something, the same effect that happens when we put 2 magnets against each other where they repel, that can happen on a large scale, and them magnets can depending on how much one is charged. So there's a stable, there's a constant, and then there's a high velocity. Remember that part. Constant and high velocity. There's an outer shell and an inner shell. So, what Source allowed me to do with that, and with previous experiences of mine being the high G that I've always been, I was able to reverse engineer that some, and it's not me coming from ego like that. You'll get to know that if you're new here to the channel. But I was able to reverse engineer that into the outer core of our the outer core and the inner core when it comes to our biological physical outer core, like our skin and our bones, the meat suit. That's the outer magnet. And then our inner magnet is our spine, our nervous system, our chi, our etherical flow, our connection to source, our soul, ether, the inner core, right? So I've always known since my early 20s, from starting as a Rastafarian and getting into more metaphysics and learning further back into the old world and stuff. Eventually, I got to know about the number 9 and the number 6 and 3s and 7s, but the different rotations of 9 and 6 is very important to know. So 9 is the rotation that goes up, like spinning a basketball in your right hand on your middle finger. It's a circular motion. Anything that's progressive and of life whether it be music, food, energy, conversation, it's going to go in that direction. It's just going to keep going and flowing and growing. And now, in opposition of that, or whatever, or in polarity of that, and balance of that, is 6. And 6 is the one going down, 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 down into the 0, into the core. So 1 is a grounding motion, and 1 is a exciting, building, lifting motion, a growing. 1 is evolution, 1 is compression. There, who's to say one is better or worse or bad or negative? I mean, are better than the other. And I mean, we can allude that the number 9 energy is more better for us in the human form and in our common unities, because we can actually say, "Hey, my friend, my neighbor," and shake each other's hand and actually leave our bike outside and whatever the heck, right? That's number 9. But number 6 is like, nah, I'm down in here and I know how the world is, and nope, But what if we were not to pick a side and not be polarized? Because that's the big goal of a lot of brainwashing mainstream, is to pick a side. But nothing in nature hardly picks a side. Everything in nature is trying to come to the balance point. Homeostasis. Stasis is to be still at home. Don't we all want to be at home? Feel like we're at home? We go to work and we be like, I want to go home. I want to be at home. I want to be at my home neighborhood. I want to be in my hometown, in my home city, in my home state, in my home planet. Home, EO, stasis is the middle. That was a whole new download, but I've been knowing that and working on it, but that was the way it was delivered, right? Buy me a coffee, please. We'll drink the coffee. We'll chop it up for 10 minutes. What if we're not polarized and we pick that balance point to say, hey, I want to be grounded like 6 and I want to be lifted like 9? How do we do it? Well, we reverse engineered the AC induction motor from Tesla, right? From the original Nikola in the modern day the car company. Okay? So the motor is that, the outer and the inner. Our skin and bones and our body is our number 6. That has to be going down and grounded. That has to be firm. That has to be solid. That has to be our circadian rhythm, and which is also, influenced by our nervous system. But we'll get to that because number 9 is our source connection. Okay? Excuse me. So that number 6 has to be firm to house the strong reaction that's about to happen when high voltage comes in. Because what if we send this high voltage into the inside and that number 6 is not firm, the outer side of us in this analogy, or in this overstanding or this understanding? If that number 6 is not firm, if you don't have the capacity to breathe, if your spine is not aligned, if your neck's not firing, if you don't have your awareness, if you don't know your tone, if you're not rooted to the ground, if you don't feel your toes, if you're not having a rhythm, if your circadian rhythm, your heartbeat doesn't get moved so fast, that's all like the 6, right? Knowing your surroundings. If you don't have that capacity and that charge comes down for that to be, that star, to be that creative, to be the face of that company, that organization, of that particular skill and trade, it's gonna bust it. It's going to bust the wall. It's going to break the house. So, one of the key takeaways I got of that download recently was, okay, if I want to be able to house higher potential, then I have to strengthen my outer core. I have to strengthen my number 6. I have to strengthen the building that houses the inner magnet, which is my connection to source, my spine, that chi that goes around when you go like this and you activate your sacral and your solars and your heart, and you really get your elliptical motion moving and juicing in that number 9 fashion, actually to the right. Because Dr. Delbert Blair broke that to the world, and he told everybody, it's like, hey, when your chakras is activated, they spin to the right from our orientation. So it's going to be backwards looking on the camera. So if you go this way, put your arm out to the right, chakra spin to the right. And that's a very huge download that took me a long time to get when I was like 20 years old, like 13, 15 years ago. To the right, our orientation. So whenever you look at a picture or you look at any type of motif and it looks like it's spinning to the right from this way, you have to back it up and look at it from that orientation out to get the right perspective of it. Because spinning to the left is 6, spinning to the right is 9. Music can go a certain way like that. Conversation, growth, the expansion of a butterfly or a moth when it comes out of a cocoon and its whole spine just it's that 9, it expanded from a compressed state. So again, not to polarize or pick sides, but when it comes to the chakra activation, yes, for us, we do want our spinning to the right. And that's the right hemisphere. And that's when they say somebody is or isn't in their right mind. You see how deep all these new downloads off this one concept? So we can go more into some of these concepts and break them down, because each one of these is a well. Is a well of water. So that's the introduction to that concept. AC induction motor, with our skin and our bones and our outer core being the number 6 energy. And we have to be hip with that 6, just as hip as we are with the 9. If we're just 9, then we're just potential power, and if we're just 6, then we're grounded and we have no spark, no creativity, no inspiration. So the more strengthened your 6 is, from, like we mentioned, not having all that sugar in the body and having high electrical current from like the fruit juice and from those type of building blocks, the quinoas, the chickpeas, and the plant, and the black eyed peas, lentil, but especially that fruit juice, pineapple juice. 6 core, and from exercising, because always remember, exercise is exorcism. So if you're also having spirits from the alcohol, so not only are you having the sugar that's lowering your resistance, but now you got spirits. You gotta, and that's fine. We'll invite the spirits sometimes, because I'm gonna drink. Right now the numbers is like twice every 7 days. 7 to 10 days or something like that. But I'm enjoying the less sugar, and I'm enjoying not having the extra type of spirits on me all the time. Like, I could deal with the spirits, but I shouldn't be having the spirits on me daily, because the spirits will have me not wanting to eat, not wanting to do certain things right, won't exercise. And so that's, gotta always remember, exercise is exorcism. So whether you're drinking daily or not, and all that type of stuff, but the exercise to get the spirit, to get the heavy down spirits off you that are just trying to pull you down instead of lift you up. You get that off. So you have the less sugar, the fruit juices for faster connectivity within the body, the bioelectric, and the exercise, and that's going to create ease. That takes us to ease. It's going to create more ease through how you breathe. You're oxygenated, you can think more clearly, you probably won't be stressing as much, you probably won't be trying to figure out everything, maybe like, shoot, like I know I've been trying to do sometimes in the past. But these are all how to strengthen the 6 core, the outer core, so you can really breathe in through the breath and start tapping into how you want to call in, how you want to magnetize your connection to source, so you can really get on that frequency with source, and then that'll be how you collect your 9 energy. So you can have that elliptical deal going on. Because that 9 is like, it's going to be an alternating current. It's going to be down and up. You're going to be sending messages up, you're going to be getting back. You're going to be sending up, sending a bit of it. But your 6 has got to be strong in order to have that beacon to do that type of stuff. But as long as you know which ways you're spinning on, so that way you don't accidentally get tripped up out here in the streets or in the matrix when you're too much on your 9 and you let your 6 down and then you get hit from behind. Now you're on the ground and you're getting jumped by 3 people or whatever. Stuff happens or whatever. But the more that you can interface in the streets and in the matrix with that 6, you can protect that 9 energy and really harness it. I got like 4 more, but we're probably already at like 20 minutes. Which I want to do. I'm gonna give this next one right here. I'm gonna give these next 2 ones right here. As far as recent downloads, that's been that I've been receiving, and that's been helping with me. And whenever I get these recent downloads, I install them right away. I'm gonna make a separate video about that, about how if you want to get these downloads yourself and not just get them from me, then you pretty much have to always delete your hard drive, your hard drive. You don't delete all your memories. Keep your good stuff. Remember who's who you love and who's loved you and what's home and certain things that's made you who you are and everything. But when it comes to negative emotion, anger, shame, regret, fear, pity, tiredness, all these different type of things, those are what takes up the most space. But even just too much looking at social media, too much looking at what everybody, too much taking in other people's energy, especially if you're already empathic and you already kind of are easy to pick up on energy anyways, all those things will take up space in your hard drive where it'll be harder for you to just like get your own walking down the street. Oh, dang, eureka! I could just do this and this and this and this and boom, boom, and yeah, downloads. Or you'll see this thing and they'll be like this. Then you'll read it. Then you'll see the numbers. But those are harder. Those are harder and less likely if you got. It's like a cell phone or computer, right? It's full of storage with videos and photos. Then you can't download the next app or whatever. Very similar. We'll break that down further in another video. But that's just another side note about how to get your own downloads. Okay. So the 2 that we're gonna squeeze together here. This one's very important, and it's only 3 words: who, not how. Let's make sure we're still recording. Marvelous. 2 more to go for these downloads. Very important for September, October, November, and December. Going into 26. And this is timeless also. If you happen to be getting this at a time after. Who, not how. Who, not how. What does that mean? This is when it comes to the focus, and when sometimes we catch ourselves drifting, or we catch ourselves into some slight anxiety or some moment of like inner panic of like, how am I going to be able to get that product in the store? How am I going to be able to fund these 4 ideas at once? What order do I do it in? How will I get the money? How will these next designs get created in time and printed? And how will I learn to actually do it in time for the deadlines or whatever. And that's the whole other thing, is not to put too much self-imposed deadline, but deadlines could be good too on the Napoleon Hill method. But in this revelation of who and not how, whenever we find ourselves going into that deep, dark tunnel of how, especially if you've got big ideas and the big dreams, like you want to make an app and the whole country is going to run on the app, or you want to have a small industry and it's going to take 5 semi-trucks and a couple warehouses and you're on your way, and then you accidentally slip into that rabbit hole of but, how, and what, if, and d. So this helps with that. So if you find yourself drifting off into the how, it's okay to to be based on reality, in certain parts of reality, and crunch your numbers and check the accounts from time to time, and and don't be like crazy, dumb, foolish with it, right? But we switch it from asking ourselves how, and we pull the dialogue to who. Not how am I going to do it, but who am I becoming? Who am I trying to become? Like, who am I wanting to become? And how does that person feel right now? How does that person think? What is that person's vantage point? What is that person's leverage? Is that person tripping or considered about all these how questions that I'm doing? Or has that person already figured it out? And the more we embrace the who, we become the who, and the hows become more and more quiet and get figured out as we go. Day by day, day by day, day by day. Because I know there's been plenty of times in my life where, especially if I got my hands and feet in more than like 3 or 4 or 5 endeavors, I would sit and just want to have each one of those endeavors fully plotted out, or I wouldn't let certain endeavors hit the street until I had certain things, like all the hows howed out. And sometimes I had to focus I'd go so far down the hows that I would take too long to get a product on the market. I could have something already on the market that could already be generating, a little bit of revenue and some steam, and it wasn't as serious as all these hows that I was trying to do. Or, then focusing on the house too much can really be a morale kill and a buzz kill when it comes to the energy that you need to be able to channel and to embody when it comes to creating certain new waves and elements, especially if you're doing music, especially if you're doing clothing, anything creative like that where a lot of people are looking and you can impact the wave and the influence. You got to have that free-flowing, you got to be the who and not the how, because if you accidentally get bogged down with the how and you realize I really don't have the capital to push this album, I really don't have the capital to build these clothes, I really don't have this, then bam, I don't have the credit neither, and I don't have this, and I don't have, then that alone right there, now you find yourself back to square one in the rat race, which was like, I should go get a job, and then I can work to get money again. And if you're anything like me when it comes to that, I get up into one of these situations and I work, then within 3 months, I'm already like, man, I'm not doing nothing creative. I feel like I don't have no control over my life. I don't like really what this, that, and the third is like, I need to get up out of here so I can go create and do the stuff that I know that I've been called and chosen to do. Then depending on how much money I have or have saved up or whatever, like that'll be the energy for like 3 months, 6 months or something like that. But then if certain businesses didn't catch up yet, and then the how started coming in, how am I going to do it? How are you going to pay? And really the big one is how are you going to cover your bills and invest? Especially if you already got like some past certain debts, or you got an expensive car and expensive insurance and a few things that add up where it's like, it don't even seem like you're getting much and you're already putting out $1,500. And you still haven't even bought food. And we all know everything's more expensive. Hello. For almost 3 years now. So that's where the how really hurts. And so now the how is blocking the who. How and the who. How and the who. And that's what we can't allow to happen. We can't allow the how to block the who. Say it with me. We can't allow the how to block the who. Oh, yeah, you're right. And that's what happens. And for sure, easier said than done. But I had to share the download with you, so you know what I'm saying? You might see me out here one day, and you can tell that my energy is tripping on the how. And then you get to remind me the who. And that's the beautiful thing, when your network grows like that, and you got a dope internet network, whether it be on the internet or in person or wherever you go, and people, whatever, inside your family kin circle. Sometimes we just gotta, we gotta popular loan it. You gotta loan start. But the and especially when you're in a nuclear family, that's the best type of way to get. That's if anybody's who's supposed to really remind you of who you are is your partner. Male female partner type thing, nuclear family type thing, right? And like when you have a good union, good bond, and I've stopped relationships when I feel like that's not when there's not enough of that there for me. I could have everything good. Honor, loyalty, food, sex, some pretty good dialogue, and but if I don't have that if I don't have that if I don't have that spark with somebody that can't tell when my energy is not, not at par, like who I am. Hey, that's not who you are. Let me remind you who you are. Come right here. Let me pop your neck back in place. Let me put you in alignment. Let me put some lentils in your stomach and get on out here into the world, boy. You know what I mean? Who, not the house. And that's how some of the greatest things that's ever done and built, when that who was the driving force more so than the how. So that's a very important download for all of us to hold each other accountable to. Whenever we feel ourselves drifting off into the how, it's okay to go discover certain principalities and things that we need to get in alignment with, but it should never take us away from the who. And if we feel like the how is taking us too far where it's causing any type of panic or anxiety, we gotta stop it right there, bring it back, and be like, hold on, that ain't who I am. That's not who I'm becoming. That's never been who I am, and that's never gonna be who, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing the how. We're doing the who. And that version of me and the who, we're okay. We're not tripping over that. And if that means we gotta be a little delusional in the meantime, whatever. But the universe is gonna reward us for that. As long as it's grounded. Like we said, the AC induction motor 69. The more grounded it is, the more the universe is gonna be like, man, what? You just stayed on the who instead of how? What? Here you go. Here's your client. Here's your audience. Okay. Who, not how. 6 outer core, 9 inner core. Alcohol converts into sugar, and sugar is terrible for electrical flow, bioelectrical flow. It causes a lot of resistance. Physical alignment through your own practices and through a personal alignment specialist. This is going to activate more and more of your breath and your chi and your flow and your ability to force and to magnetize, which takes us back to ease. So these are all the shadow work and the work that gets us to the ease. So that's when we know if like we can have the differentiation, like no, that ain't for me. Nope, yes. And all those decisions is what's going to accumulate to make the ease. And we're going to know when something's out of alignment and don't fit, and it's going to either go right off us, or we're going to have to really, we're just going to have to show where the door is, and it's just going to be understood. And the next one we got for this transmission here is another cool one right here. This is another good one for like, if you find yourself kind of a little lonely sometimes, or maybe like on loner mode or focus mode or whatever, or sometimes like maybe you'll see an attractive mate or something like that if you're single, and you're like, how come this person's not seeing me as much, or like how much should I approach them? Because I'm almost at a point now, like dead on, like I'm not gonna really when I'm single, I'm not gonna approach hardly any girl unless we connect eyes. We spend time in each other's eyes. Her body's opening to me. She smiles or something, and she notices me just as much as I notice her. And if that doesn't happen, because I know who I am and what I got when it comes to like whatever it is that I know that I'm going for in life, right? And what I've accumulated, and what I bring to the table and stuff like that or whatever, right? And with the standard I hold myself to and all that. So I know at this point in my life, 35 years into being on Earth, that if somebody don't see me, they're either choosing not to see me, or we're just in completely different frequencies, vibrational matches. And that's what leads us to this this next download right here for September, October, November, December here, going into 26, is if somebody can't see you, it's probably because they're not worthy to. Right? That wasn't me saying that at first. That was something that I picked up recently in another YouTube transmission video. But it hit me good, and which is, if you're not being seen, maybe it's because, it's the universe giving you a blessing. It's the universe saying, don't even worry about that, because you would have to bring your focus and vibration to a place that you weren't even at, and probably a place you're not even trying to go. Well, for who can see you, of course, we're always dealing with the element of differentiation, because got to be careful for that one too. When somebody sees you way too easy and way too good, and they just fall right into your hands and just right on you and hugging you and kissing you on your neck and wanting to take you places and do things, and it's only been 6 hours or whatever, or 6 days or 6 weeks. It all depends on how deep of a person you are and how quickly somebody thinks they know you or whatever. And usually men got like that easier, or boys, when a woman comes in, it's just like, you know, she just falls into his lap, and he just is like, man, I'm just really just, you know, I just leapt up this time, and I'm just the man. Or it's like, now outside of that condition, if you're not being seen, or if you know, if you been feeling a little, you know, to yourself or to the lonesome or whatever, just know a lot of that's probably for your protection. You know what I mean? Because if you're not being seen and you've been doing the work, the shadow work, the inner work, you know, exercising your body, eating good foods and stuff, you know, being a decent person and trying to smile when you can smile and all that, you're going to be radiating. Somebody's going to want you from a mile away. But if someone can't see you, or they're playing as if they can't see you or whatever, there's probably a worthiness factor there for the standards you set for yourself. Because who's going to be in your circle, and who's going to be in your network and your clients and your clientele and all that, you only want the best people in your life anyways. You know, and that's where we are evolving in this world and in this life. Instead of trying to win over everybody and trying to be everything to everybody, the most popular across the board, everything, I gotta win everybody all at once. You know, I gotta have the one record to make everybody do this and do this. Okay, I'm not saying, you know, like, no, don't go for that or whatever, because, you know, that's big power, right? But when it comes to living a day-to-day life that you can enjoy, you know, a personal life, you want to be surrounded by the best people. And if you're going to entrepreneur route, if you're going in the route of the soul's journey of being called and chosen, and you're out here just like, you know, spreading that grounded light and love, you know, that organic love from the heart, then you don't want to be wasting no time. You don't want to be wasting your time, energy, and life force and focus and letting other people into your field that ain't going to be the best anyways. So that's where the blessing about it, the whole thing is that, hey, just keep on walking, keep on aligning, and that will lead me to this next little extra channel, which is part of this, and we'll close down this transmission right here. Thank you so much for riding on this this ship. I was gonna say like a sea dude, because we've been kind of skipping on the waves here. What I like to do. When you're not being seen, you know what I'm saying? If you're not being seen, then it's going to be more so it's more so a blessing. Because really at the end of the day, we want to be working with who wants to work with us, who sees us, who sees our value, who sees our energy, and that way, you know, we're going to be adding to each other, and that's how we become, you know, enter a more higher state of ease and flow and creativity, alignment, and divine timing. Okay. We hear often about divine timing, and divine timing does play a role, and divine timing is important. But at this point, I'm more so leaning towards that divine alignment is more important than divine timing. So divine alignment, so in this period of time where we're not being seen by maybe certain mates or counterparts that we're like, I'm attracted to, you know, her vibe, or, you know, what's going on, or his, you know, but so in those times where we're being actually blessed and protected because our mission is so much, you know, on a certain path or whatever, or a certain frequency, that we are doing what we continue to do the shadow work, and we do the body work, and we do the, you know, the soul work and the finance work. You know, we're doing the casual work and living our life and having the gratitude and trying to be happy and smile, right, and do all that, right? Well, that's what puts us in alignment. So each person that Source and Most High, you know, puts it aside and doesn't bring it to our inner cipher, it allows us to get more in alignment for when we do have those connections. You can trust it. You can know. Good things take time, and when good things are established, great things can happen fast. So in that case, is, you know, you do a whole lot of good stuff working on you, and somebody else do a whole bunch of good stuff working on them, and this is how God weeds out the people who seem like they've done a lot of work on themselves, but they haven't done nowhere near as much work as you have done for yourself. All the shadow times, all the being down and crying and wondering and being lost and sacrificing and doing for others and giving money and whatever and losing people and betrayals and pulling yourself back together and reading the trees and the stars and the books. Okay? And that's the alignment that comes from it. Because you're only going to continue to evolve. And that's the good things that you did and the good things that the other person did. And this can be in business, in love, family, etc. So all that good stuff was built, so now you can trust that great things can happen fast. You still don't want it to be too fast. You still want to make sure that it's like, hey, your story goes deep. Then somebody already got it all figured out in 3 weeks or whatever, and they're just like, you read my thing forever. And, it's like, yeah, just high G it right there. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure you got your binoculars on and have fun. Okay. Alcohol converts into sugar. That's motivation against daily drinking. Still go drink sometimes socially, but that'll keep you from drinking by yourself every day. Hopefully you don't want to be full of sugar. And yeah. So that's it for this transmission. We'll see what comes next. So we got some other things I've been thinking about. Some of them I can't talk on camera about. We're getting different downloads. Kind of like what might be happening in Memphis at the AS. This has been Talks with High G. And I'm your host, Drew. See you out here. Appreciate you. Love you. All that good stuff.